Welcome to From the Ground Up. My name is John Boitnott, and this is the show where we talk to executives and entrepreneurs out there about the companies that they have founded and that they're working on and the problems that they are addressing in the world today. And today I'm talking to Anne Ahola Ward, who runs her own marketing company, CircleClick, and has worked for several different startups. As a matter of fact, some of us call her the mother of startups. And she has expertise in several other areas that we're going to be going into in today's show. Hi, Anne. How are you?
Hi, I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be on your show.
It is great to have you on the show. And I should also mention that I've known Anne for more than a decade now. I think we're at that point, and it's great to be interviewing her and finding some areas of expertise that she will be illuminating us with today. And in the past, her and I have done a show together called, it was called Computer AF, and we had a good time doing that show, and it's nice to sort of get the band back together here today. And I think we'll just start off by give us your background, Anne, where you've worked, what you've done, and what your areas of expertise are, and what we'll be talking about today.
Absolutely. So I am known as the mother of startups. I was dubbed that by CNN 2017, which still I kind of giggle when I hear. I started my career as a web developer and migrated into SEO as the field was forming through my love of analytics. I go into startups and I help them grow by any means necessary, usually in marketing. Sometimes it's other stuff. But generally, I come in with my team and we fix it up and we get them growing. My favorite time at a startup is post-seed, pre-Series A. Improving the math of the business is something I love to do. How do we scale it? And I've been doing that for almost, I guess, 2009 is when we started. So quite a while. And I relocated back home to Austin, Texas in the pandemic.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've been there when you were, in Silicon Valley for long years. And, one of you're sort of a jack of all trades in that you really help companies with their marketing. But I also noticed that you help with the day-to-day functioning of startups quite a lot too. It was like, I would go there for like events that you had planned, but at the same time, you're putting out unrelated fires. And you're really one of those people that helps take care of the teams of startups. And so that's what I noticed when I was.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore the problems. If you're going to grow, you have to push forward and be an agent of change and figure out why we're not growing. And often there are personnel issues or political issues. But generally, I try to stick to marketing.
Well, we can start off with the marketing questions. There's a couple different areas. I think that marketing is obviously just a hot button area for every startup founder and the marketing teams that they have on staff. I was talking about how, with some of the clients that I work with, at least one of them was hit really hard this year by the Google Core update. It really knocked knocked thousands of sites sort of off their feet and harmed their ability to make money. And it just, I suppose, briefly go over what happened there with the Google Core update, what it's about, and sort of what the future looks like the next several months for that.
Sure. So there was a recent core algorithm update, meaning that they're making changes on the algorithmic level to deal with, changes in the market, right? So as it has become more, I guess you can easily create content now in a way that you couldn't. And so it has caused a proliferation of not great content. And so Google's central thesis is always going to be to get its users to find relevance and relevant content. And so this was a rollout, which, by the way, took several weeks. And so sometimes you'll see something start to dip and then it comes back up. I would generally look at least a month of data before I got too excited, because these do not roll out overnight because we're talking a size and scope that is quite significant. So sometimes things will look like they're going down and then they actually come back up on their own when they level out. But this one, as my intel has told me, is related to categorizations. So enhancing categories. As the internet grows, we need to shape it and to also eliminate a lot of the spam that we're all seeing. I think there are a few key industries where you can see how spammy it gets. And one that I always point to is recipes. So, like, I have a lovely piece of salmon and I want to bake it. I'm going to look how long I bake it, or, if my mom's not available, because she's my original Google, right? If she's not available, I'm going to say, okay, how long do I cook a pound of salmon? Well, I'm going to find an article, and that article is going to say, oh, how great you're eating salmon. Why do you want to bake salmon? How could you bake salmon? I mean, and it's going to ask like 10 inane questions, and then
The
you're going
whole
to
FAQ
scroll.
thing.
Yeah, and then you're going to get to the bottom of the article and you'll finally get the information if you don't find those in Google Answers broken out initially. So users get frustrated by this experience. And so their constant struggle is to counteract that. And if you have been hurt by this recent algorithm update, first of all, call me. But secondly, I would really examine the
Subtle,
quality.
subtle. I
Yeah,
like
I know. Shameless plug. But I would also look at the quality of that content that has lost ranking. Was it really truly great? Did you, are you in compliance with Core Web Vitals? Because it's always going to be related to speed and performance as well. Because as processing power gets better, phones get better, our tolerance gets lower for load times and these other things. We do not want to have a bad experience. We want what we want when we want it. And Google's in the business of giving us that.
Yeah. Well, that leads right into the whole Chat GPT thing, which has been just this sea change, that has, come along, possibly causing more spammy material out there, as you mentioned. But talk a little bit about how Chat GPT fits into this, but also talk about like where it has brought some efficiencies that you've noticed, maybe even helped you with your way of doing things.
Absolutely. So, I mean, people in my life who had no idea about anything tech that I did or anything were asking me about ChatGPT that first few months, because it was the fastest growing app of all time. Like, it surpassed TikTok in terms of growth very quickly. We were all aware of it because generative AI is a game changer in many, many, many ways. I think it's interesting because this latest update on their part was you can now upload PDFs and search those PDFs, which is something that as an SEO just tickles me. But it's sort of rocked the developer community a little bit, because a lot of these startups we're seeing come out as AI companies are essentially ChatGPT wrappers. And it was a very painful reminder, I'm sure, to a lot of them, how one feature update from ChatGPT spells absolute, disaster for them. Because if you're building your empire on someone else's tool at their whims, sorry. So we've seen a lot of pushback from the developer community, and this has happened faster than I've ever seen it happen. Because usually they'll wait to build it up before they start culling. So this really rocked a lot of developers recently. As an end user, I like ChatGPT 4, but I also like Google Bard. And because of my fascination and love-hate relationship on a daily basis with Google, I've actually used Bard for a lot more stuff in terms of like proofreading. I had to write something for a volunteer organization I'm a part of recently, and I said, rewrite this, Google, make it better. And it just did it. So I think where a lot of people, yeah, it made me sound so much more formal and impressive. I was like, great, thank you. You've taken Grammarly like woo and leapfrogged it. But I think a lot of people, that's the use case right now,
Yeah.
is improving existing content. I think if you're really trying to use these tools to write new content from scratch, it's gonna be crap. I mean, that's just how it is. It's you can't completely replace humans just yet. So I think a lot of people are using it to shape content. That's how I'm using it to enhance my writing and sometimes improve it. I definitely got this last time I was hiring a developer, I saw a lot of cover letters and I didn't require it. I always do easy apply. I'm like, let's just make this easy on each other. And I got a lot of cover letters, and about 3 of them were so obviously written by ChatGPT. And
Yeah.
so I tried to use ChatGPT to tell me if it had written it, which you could do. And it didn't actually say yes to any of the three, but that I'd spotted. But I asked the candidates themselves. Two denied it, and then the one who said, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "Okay," and they got to the next round because I appreciate the honesty. I mean, who doesn't want somebody who knows how to use tools?
Yeah.
So as an employer, I'm using those tools, to help me kind of wade through things too. So
Yeah.
any task at my business that is repetitive, there's a potential to automate. So that's very exciting for a number of reasons.
No, you're right about the whole cover letter thing. I actually read an article about the cover letters just yesterday. It's like if you have a thing that you had, like you said, the repetitive tasks, and each one of those would take a while, if you can have ChatGPT do that, it can help you out in that area. But let's move on to Grok because Elon Musk wants to get into this area as well, and he's got Grok coming. I mean, there's a couple of Elon questions I want to ask you, but let's start with the Elon Grok situation. What's that about? What are your thoughts on that? Oh, and by the way, he lives near you in Austin, Texas. How is he as a neighbor?
Yes. So he's, I don't think anyone would say a super great neighbor. I have friends that live out where he is, which is out in Bastrop, and there's a lot of hubbub because there's wastewater from their plant being dumped in streams, and he won't tell anyone what's in it. So there's like that kind of stuff, and then there's the driving out to the country, and it's used to be all just dualies and big trucks, and now it's like Teslas and trucks. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to watch it evolve. And I don't think it's a bad thing at all to have more tech people, around here. I don't mind that. But I think Grok is funny to me because I'm immediately thinking that's a reference to the Heinlein novel, Stranger in a Strange Land, which I'm a huge fan of and have read multiple times. And so what it really means is just understanding to the point that to grok something is to understand it to the point you almost like become it. So like I grok my husband, like we're almost like of one mind,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And so I think that's what the mission is, because it's a very deliberate choice for us geeks. That word means something, as defined by the book. But I mean, do we really need a chatbot to tell us how to make cocaine?
Yeah. That sounds like something Elon would really.
Probably not. Well, he was
Yeah.
all over social talking about that. So
Yeah.
I personally am not too excited about what he's doing with Grok. I think the intention is to have like a bad boy chatbot, and
Yeah.
I don't think the world needs that. We have enough edgelords and other fringe people on the internet doing that for us already. I think Neuralink is way more interesting, right? Like
Yeah.
that's going into actual clinical trials. Like people are going to be having brain surgery with Neuralink. Like that is actually happening, which blows my mind. But I think what got Grok in the headlines specifically was the fact that he was pulling GPU power that was previously used by Twitter. He was pulling processors, and that's what got a lot of people's attention, which I thought was really interesting because there's shortages of GPUs. So I just thought, wow, well, that tells you what you think of Twitter, huh?
Right. Well, yeah. Is it? I remember hearing something about that, but the thing with Elon is that there's so many different stories, right? It's like there's so many different types. Like there's a certain wastewater, going into the rivers around where the gigafactory is. There's sort of like different classifications of Elon news related to whatever project it may be. So if you're talking about Twitter in San Francisco, it could be that he hasn't paid rent there, that kind of thing. Elon's got there's just so much. There's so much. There's just so much.
Absolutely. But then people love Starlink.
Yes.
But then people out there who had horrible internet now can have Starlink, and they're like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I think anyone that gets to that level has some lovers and some haters, and you're kind of a little bit of both. I think that's natural, but he's a very easy villain because he doesn't apologize, and he doesn't apologize for who he is, nor does he care what you think of him. And those are the people that become lightning rods for media, because he loves it. He welcomes it. I mean, I would argue that's probably why he bought Twitter to some extent, was to manipulate media and to shut down journalists that were mean to him before.
Yep.
But I think it's a very popular opinion that he wants Twitter to kind of become like the Chinese equivalent of WeChat, where it's almost like,
All
e-commerce
the all
bits.
in one app, right?
Yeah, well, I'm an anti-OAuth login person.
Yeah.
So like when you go to a new site or service, you're signing up for like, oh, here's this new thing that's going to manage all my other things. I don't ever just say, oh yeah, pull from my Facebook, pull from my Twitter. But a lot of people do because it's very convenient. I don't do it due to privacy concerns, but a lot of people do. And so I think the hope is maybe that people use Twitter for all of these things and then they get all that data. I don't really know what else it would be because it's clearly not advertising how we're acting right now. So I don't know. It's exciting to watch though, because it's like the future is unfolding in front of us, like even faster than it was just, 2 years ago.
It's hard to
We're,
keep
we're
up with. I will say this, as far as Elon goes, I did the whole take my money thing. I gave him $8 per month because, now my tweets get seen by, twice as many people, more than that, because he's unthrottled me, so, and, say what you will, but now Zuckerberg is sort of following suit with him and is going to start charging for parts of Facebook. It's once Elon paved the way, even in one of Elon's failures, which is this whole Twitter thing, it's kind of shown how you can have more success potentially. So yeah, he's something else. He's something else. I do want to ask you one question about crypto though, because this is an area that you had, that you have developed a lot of expertise in, but it's kind of like fallen back in importance in the public eye with the rise of AI and other things. There's word lately that, and apparently evidence lately that Bitcoin might be rising again. What sort of, are you bullish long term on the whole crypto thing? Is it going to be okay? What's the story around that in your opinion?
Well, as a long term crypto person who has been in it a very long time, first thing out of my mouth is always going to be not investment advice. Uh,
Yeah.
my attorney would have me say that. I would say, have I exited? Have I sold out? Absolutely not. Will I? Probably not anytime soon. And it's not just the capital gains, it's the fact that I think that it's going to continue to rise, especially as people become disenfranchised with these traditional financial systems that don't seem to treat us all equally. I do think that every few years there's a leveling out in crypto, and there has been, from the time of Mount Gox on, where there are people that are drawn to it because of just the fun and the rebellion of it, and just the sassy freedom of being these like pioneers. And then there's the scandals that come, and because this is what happens when we don't really sort of know how to regulate these financial systems and give these little twerps all this money. And I'm referring to who, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
So I think Terra Luna was like the first shot out of the cannon where things started to feel like they were going down, and then it just sort of went on from there, from Celsius to the other things that happened. And I think that it's okay. It's okay that we're having this ebb and flow of scandal, because the same thing has happened in the traditional financial system. I mean, I seem to remember the banking collapse. I was directly affected by it. My husband and I were working on Wall Street,
Yeah.
so lost our jobs within a week of each other. And that's when Bill Gross coined the term new normal, which now means something else completely. But I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think that the people that were there to hype it and not really build anything and didn't really know what they were doing have moved on to the next pasture, which is AI. And so that's what's getting all the attention and the heat. But I still know a great number of people building. They're just a little more shy about talking about it. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think being a little humbled as you're trying to completely replace the entire system of finance, like in some cases government, and birth certificates. Like at one point, blockchain, we're going to be buying houses, and
Yeah.
and there was just a greater amount of people hyping it
The
than
NFT.
there were actually building it.
Yeah.
So losing some hype people, that's okay, because the people I know that have been in it as long as me are still in it. They're just not talking about it. And that's okay, because we really need to we need to do the math. We
Yeah,
need to show our math to the teacher because no one trusts us.
totally. Yeah. And you know, what goes around comes around. Already we're starting to see Bitcoin rise a little bit. And but yeah, you're providing us with a great overall perspective on you know, the whole life of all of this, and how we need to take a more pragmatic approach and understand that there are ups and downs. Well, it has been wonderful having you, Anne, in Anne Ahola Ward, in our computer AF reunion of sorts. Thank you so much for being with us here on From the Ground Up.
Thank you so much. Please have me back.
Yep, would love to have you back. See you soon.